Scripture portions of the day, day 329.
Matthew 12, A-O-N-T. At the time Yeshua was walking on the Sabbath in the grain fields, and his disciples were hungry, and they began plucking the ears of grain that they were eating. But when the Pharisees saw them, they were saying to him, "Behold, your disciples are doing something that is illegal on the Sabbath." But he said to them, "You have not read what David did when he was hungry, and those who were with him, how he entered into the house of Elohim, and he ate the bread of the table of the Lord Jehovah, that which was not legal for him to eat, neither for those who were with him, but rather for the priests only? Or have you not read in the written law that the priests in the temple profane the Sabbath and are blameless? But I say to you, one greater than the temple is here. But if you had known what this was, I want mercy and not sacrifice, you would not have condemned those who are blameless. For the Son of Man is the master of the Sabbath." And Yeshua departed from there, and he came to their synagogue. One man was there whose hand was withered, and they were asking him, and they were saying, "It is illegal to heal on the Sabbath," so that they might accuse him. And he said to them, "Who is the man among you who has one sheep, and if it falls into a pit on the Sabbath day, will not take hold of it and lift it out? How much greater is a man than a sheep? Therefore, it is legal to do good on the Sabbath." And then he said to the man, "Stretch out your hand." And he stretched out his hand, and it was restored like the others. And the Pharisee went out, and they took counsel against him, so they might destroy him. But Yeshua knew, and he moved from there, and great crowds went after him, and he healed all of them. And he warned them that they should not reveal him, that the thing would be fulfilled that was spoken of Isaiah the prophet, which says, "Behold my servant in whom I delight, my beloved, for whom my soul longed, and I shall put my spirit upon him, and he will preach judgment to the nations. And I will not dispute, neither will he cry out, nor will a man hear his voice in the streets. He will not break off a fractured reed, and a lamp that flickers he will not extinguish until he would bring the verdict of innocence. And in his name the nations will hope." But when they brought him to a certain demoniac, mute and blind, and he healed him so that the mute and blind man could speak and see, all the crowds were astonished, and they were saying, "Is this not the son of David?" But the Pharisees, when they heard, they were saying, "This one does not cast out demons except by Beelzebub, the prince of demons." But Yeshua knew their designs, and he said to them, "Every kingdom that is divided against itself will be destroyed, and every house and city that is divided against itself will not stand. And if Satan cast out Satan, he has been divided against himself. How therefore will his kingdom stand? And if I am casting out demons by Beelzebub, by whom do your sons cast them out? Therefore they will be your judges. And if I am casting out demons by the spirit of Elohim, the kingdom of Elohim has come near to you. For how can a man enter the house of a mighty man and plunder his goods, unless he first bind the mighty man? Then he may plunder his house. Whoever is not with me is against me. Whoever does not gather with me is truly scattering. Therefore I say to you, all sins and blasphemies will be forgiven to the children of men, but blasphemy that is against the Spirit will not be forgiven of the children of men. Everyone who will say a word against the Son of Man, it will be forgiven him. But whoever will speak against the Spirit of holiness, it will not be forgiven of him. Not in this world, neither in the world that is being prepared. Either make the tree good, and its fruit good, or make the tree bad, and its fruit bad. For the tree is known by its fruits. Offspring of vipers, how can you who are evil speak good things? For from the fullness of the heart the mouth speaks. A good man from a good treasure brings good things, and an evil man from an evil treasure brings evil things. For I say to you that every idle word that people will speak, they will give an answer for it in the day of judgment. For by your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned. Then some of the scribes and Pharisees responded, and they were saying to him, "Teacher, we wish to see a sign from you." But he answered and said to them, "An evil and adulterous generation seeks a sign, and a sign will not be given to it except the sign of Jonah the prophet. For just as Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights, thus the Son of Man will be in the heart of the earth 3 days and 3 nights. The Ninevite men will arise in the judgment with this generation, and will condemn it. And they repented at the preaching of Jonah. And behold, one greater than Jonah is here. The queen of the south will rise in the judgment of this generation, and will condemn it. For she came from the ends of the earth to hear the wisdom of Solomon, and behold, one greater than Solomon is here. But whenever the foul spirit goes out of a man, it wanders about in places without water in them, and it seeks rest and doesn't find it. Then it says, I shall return to my house where I come out. And it goes and finding that it is empty, swept, and decorated. Then it goes and brings in 7 other spirits worse than itself, and they enter and dwell there. And the end of that man becomes worse than the beginning. Thus it will be done to this an evil generation. But while he was speaking to the crowds, his mother and brother came, standing outside, desiring to speak to him. And a man said to him, Behold, your mother and your brother are standing outside, and want to speak with you. But he answered and said to him, Who told him, Who is my mother, and who is my brothers? And he stretched out forth his hands towards the disciples, and said, Behold, my brother, and behold, my brothers, and my mother. For everyone who does the will of the Father, who is in heaven, the same is my brother, and my sister, and my mother. Deuteronomy 29, Septuagint. And these are the words of the covenant which Jehovah commanded Moses to make with the children of Israel in the land of Moab, besides the covenant which he made with them in Horeb. And Moses called all the sons of Israel, and said to them, You have seen all these that Jehovah did in the land of Egypt before you, to Pharaoh and his servants and all his land. The great temptations which thine eyes have seen, the signs, and those great wonders. Yet Jehovah Elohim has not given you a heart to know, and eyes to see, and ears to hear until this day. And he led you 40 years in the wilderness. Your garments will not grow old, and your sandals will not be worn off your feet. You did not eat bread, you did not drink wine, nor strong drink, that ye might know that I am Jehovah your Elohim. And you came as far as this place, and there came forth Sihon, king of Heshbon, and Og, the king of Bashan, to meet us in war. And we smote them, and took their land. And I gave it as an inheritance to Reuben and Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh. And ye shall take heed to do all the words of this covenant, that ye may understand all the things you shall do. You all stand today before Jehovah thy Elohim, the heads of your tribes, and your elders and judges, and your officers, every man of Israel, your wives, your children, and the stranger that is in the midst of your camp, from your hewer of woods even to the drawer of water, that thou shouldest enter into the covenant of Jehovah thy Elohim, and into his oaths, as many as Jehovah thy Elohim appoints to thee this day, that he may appoint thee to himself for a people, and they might be thy Elohim, as he said to thee, and as he sware to thy fathers, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. And I do not appoint to you alone this covenant and this oath, but to those also who are here with you today before Jehovah your Elohim, and to those who are not here with you today. For you know how we dwell in the land of Egypt, how we come through the midst of the nations through whom ye came. And ye beheld their abominations, and their idols, wood and stone, silver and gold, which are among them. Lest there be among you a man, or woman, or family, tribe, whose heart has turned aside from Jehovah thy Elohim, having gone to serve the gods of these nations, lest there be a root of spring up to you with gall and bitterness. And it shall be, if one shall hear the words of this curse, and shall flatter himself in his heart, saying, Let good happen to me, for I will walk in the air of my heart, lest the sinner destroy the guiltless with him. Elohim shall by no means be willing to pardon him. But then the wrath of Elohim, Jehovah, and his jealousy shall flame out against the man, and all the curses of that covenant shall attach themselves to him, which are written in this book, and Jehovah shall blot out his name from under heaven. And Jehovah shall separate that man from evil of all the children of Israel, according to all the curses of the covenant that are written in this book of the law. And another generation shall say, Even your sons shall rise up after you, and the stranger who shall come from the land afar off shall see the plagues of the land, and their diseases, which Jehovah has sent upon it. Brimstone, burning salt, the whole land shall not be sown, neither shall any green thing spring, nor rise upon it. As Sodom and Gomorrah were overthrown, Adam and Sebonim, which Jehovah overthrew in his wrath and anger. And all the nations shall say, Why has Jehovah done this to this land? And what is this great fierceness of anger? And men shall say, Because they forsook the covenant to Jehovah Elohim of their fathers, and things which he appointed to their fathers, which he brought them out of the land of Egypt. And he went and served other gods, and they knew not, neither did he assign them to them. And Jehovah was exceedingly angry in the land, to bring upon it according to all the curses which are written in the book of the law. And Jehovah removed them from their land in anger and wrath and very great indignation, cast them out in another land at the present. And the secret things that belong to Jehovah, our Elohim, but the things that are revealed belong to us and our children forever, to do all the words of this law. Zechariah 9, Septuagint. The burden of the word of Jehovah in the land of Sedrach, and his sacrifice shall be in Damascus, for Jehovah looks upon men and upon all the tribes of Israel. And Emmath, even in her coasts, are Tyre and Sidon, because they were very wise. And Tyrus built strongholds for herself, and heaped up silver as dust, and gathered gold as the mine of the ways. And therefore Jehovah will take them for possession, and will smite her power in the sea, and she shall be consumed with fire. And Askelon shall see and fear, Gaza also, and shall be greatly pained, and Acharon, for she is ashamed at her trespass, and the king shall perish from Gaza, and Ashkelon shall not be inhabited. And the aliens shall dwell in Astus, and will bring down the pride of the Philistines. And I will take their blood out of their mouth, and their abominations from between their teeth, and these also shall be left to our Elohim, and they shall be as a captain of 1,000 in Judah, and Acharon as the Jebusite. And I will set up a defense of my house, and they may not pass through, nor turn back, neither shall there be any more upon them, to drive them away, for now have I seen with mine eyes. Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Proclaim it aloud, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, the king is coming to thee, just, and as a Savior. He is meek and riding on an ass, and the young foal. And he shall destroy the chariots of Ephraim, and the horse out of Jerusalem, and the bow of war shall be utterly destroyed, and there shall be abundance and peace out of the nations, and he shall rule over the waters as far as the sea, and the rivers at the ends of the earth. And thou by the blood of thy covenant shalt set forth thy prisoners out of the pit that has no water. Ye shall dwell in strongholds, ye prisoners of the congregation, for one day of thy captivity will recompense thee double. For I have bent thee, O Judah, for myself as a bow. I have filled Ephraim, and I will raise up thy children, O Zion, against the children of the Greeks, and I will handle thee as the sword of a warrior. And Jehovah shall cover them, and his arrow shall go forth as lightning, and Jehovah Almighty shall bow in the trumpet, and shall proceed with the tumult of his threatening. Jehovah Almighty shall protect them, and he shall destroy them, and overwhelm them with slingstones, and they shall swallow them down as wine, and fill the bowls as the altar. And Jehovah their Elohim shall save them in that day, even his people as a flock, for the holy stones are rolled up in his land. For if he has anything good, if he has anything fair, young men shall have corn, and there shall be a fragrant wine to the virgins. Zechariah 10, Septuagint. Ask ye of Jehovah rain in season, and early in the latter rain. And Jehovah has given bright signs, and will give them abundant rain, to every one grass in the field. And for the speakers have uttered grievous things, and the diviners have seen false visions, and they have spoken false dreams, and they have given vain comfort. Therefore have they fallen away like sheep, and have afflicted, because there was no healing. Mine anger was kindled against the shepherds, and I will visit the lambs, and Jehovah Elohim Almighty shall visit his flock, and the house of Judah, and he shall make them as a godly horse in war. And from him he looked, and from him he set the battle in order, and from him came the bow and anger. And from him shall come forth every oppressor together. And they shall be as warriors treading clay in the ways in war. And they shall set forth the battle in array, because Jehovah is with them. And the riders on horses shall be put to shame. And I will strengthen the horse of Judah, and save the house of Joseph. And I will settle them, because I have loved them, and they shall be as if I had not cast them off. For I am Jehovah their Elohim, and I will hear them. And they shall be as the warrior of Ephraim, and their heart shall rejoice as with wine. And their children also shall see it, and be glad, and their heart shall rejoice in Jehovah. I will make a sign to them, and gather them in, for I will redeem them, and they shall be multiplied according to their number before. And I will sow them among the people, and they are as afar off shall remember me. They shall nourish their children, and they shall return. And I will bring them again from the land of Egypt, and will gather them from among the Assyrians, and I will bring them into the land of Galaad and the Libanus, and there shall be not even one of them left behind. And they shall pass through the narrow sea, and they shall smite the waves in the sea, and all the deep places in the river shall be dried up, and all the pride of the Assyrians shall be taken away, and the scepter of Egypt shall be removed. And I will strengthen them in Jehovah their Elohim, and they shall boast in his name, saith Jehovah. Proverbs 21. Septuagint. As a rush of water, so is the king's heart in Elohim's hand. He turns it wherever he may desire to point out. Every man seems to himself righteous, but Jehovah directs the hearts, to do justly, and to speak truth. More are pleasing to Elohim than the blood of sacrifices. A high-minded man is a stout-hearted in his pride, and the lamp of the wicked is sin. He that gathers treasures with a lying tongue pursues vanity on the snares of death. Destruction shall lodge with the ungodly, for they refuse to do justly. To the froward Elohim sends froward ways. To his works are pure and right. It is better to dwell in the corner of the housetop than it is in plastered rooms with unrighteousness, and with an open house. The soul of the ungodly shall not be pitied by any man. When an intemperate man is punished, the simple becomes wiser, and the wise man understands will receive knowledge. A righteous man understands the heart of the ungodly, and despises the ungodly for their wickedness. He that stops his heart from hearing from the poor, himself also shall cry, and there shall be none to hear him. A secret gift calms anger, but he that forbears to give stirs up strong wrath. It is the joy of the righteous to do judgment, but a holy man is abomination to evildoers. A man that wanders out of the way of righteousness shall rest in the congregation of giants. A poor man gives mirth, loving wine, oil in abundance, and the transgressor is the abomination of the righteous man. But it is better to dwell in the wilderness than with a quarrelsome and talkative and passionate wife. A desirable treasure will rest in the mouth of the wise, but a foolish man will swallow it up. The way of righteousness and mercy will find life and glory. A wise man assaults strong cities, and demolishes fortresses in which the ungodly trusted. He that keeps his mouth and his tongue keeps his soul from trouble. But a self-willed and insulated man is also called a pest. He that remembers injuries is a transgressor. Desire, kill the sluggard, for his hands do not choose to do anything. A godly man entertains evil desires all day, but the righteous is unsparing, merciful, and compassionate. The sacrifices of the ungodly are abomination to Jehovah, for they offer them wickedly. A false witness shall perish, but an obedient man will speak cautiously. An ungodly man imprudently withstands his face, but the upright man himself understands his ways. There is no wisdom. There is no courage. There is no counsel against the ungodly. A horse is prepared for the day of battle, but help is of Jehovah.